So in a hearing about deporting migrants who harm animals, Jared Moskowitz and basically everybody else who spoke took the opportunity to remind everybody about the infamous confession in Kristi Noem's memoir.
I want to just set the record straight on a couple of things. We keep referring to Kristi Noem's dog as a dog, but actually it was a puppy. It was 14 months old. And that puppy had a name. Say its name. Cricket. Okay, that puppy had a name. And so if you had a couple moments, I would now like to do a spirited reading from the book by our Secretary of Homeland Security. It starts, "I hated that dog on the way home from a hunt. The dog on the way home from a pheasant hunt was untrainable, and it went to go attack the chickens. And at that moment, I realized I had to put her down. So I grabbed a gun and led Cricket to a gravel pit. Wasn't a pleasant job, but it had to be done. And after it was over, I realized another unpleasant job needed to be done. And so I went and got the family goat and brought that to the gravel pit. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to kill that goat with one shot." So anyway, I think the point of bringing it up is, on the merits of the bill, we can debate the merits of the bill. But if we're just going to get on our high horse about animal cruelty, which I think we all agree on, by the way, I think there's unanimity here on animal cruelty. I just, want to make sure that we apply that universally. And I think that's what the gentleman from New York is just trying to remind our colleagues, who we have not seen in a while, that, the Secretary of Homeland Security also did not treat an animal in which we believe the animal should be treated. And with that, I'll yield if Mr. Raskin has any questions.
Well, welcome back, Mr. Moskowitz. And first of all, I think your reference to goats is completely immaterial to what we're discussing today. It's not part of the bill. Isn't that right?
There are no goats in the bill. I was meaning, not me, and she wrote this in the book, that after she shot the dog, she was like, "That was awesome, go get the goat." So. All
right, well, getting back to the substance of it, whether it's a magnificent dog like Freddie, who joins us today, or Cricket, whose reputation has obviously been besmirched by the Secretary of Homeland Security, all dogs deserve not to be treated in a cruel and capricious way.
This act may be cited as the Kristi Noem Canine Relief Act of 2025. It is noteworthy that we are doubling down on arresting individuals who assault dogs in this case. And make no mistake, I am strongly against anyone assaulting dogs. And I think the ranking member laid out very clearly the problem with this bill. But I really want to know how, if at all, it would apply to cabinet members who have admitted that they have shot and killed a dog. Is it only at the ports of entry, or is this just broadly against any assault on dogs? Because my understanding from reading the bill is that this would apply to someone who kills a dog. Now, obviously, we're focused here on the deportation of people who kill dogs, and presumably that would not apply to U.S. citizens, although I understand my colleagues on the other side are, in many cases, trying to denaturalize people. But certainly the Secretary of Homeland Security, as a born American subject to birthright citizenship, would not be able to be denaturalized. So I understand that this bill would not necessarily apply because it is really focused on making sure that we double down and deport not just people who are convicted of killing dogs, but people who have been alleged to have killed dogs. And so this renaming, I think, would really capture the true essence of the bill, which is that we really don't want anybody to kill dogs, especially the Secretary of Homeland Security. And so I would urge my colleagues to support this amendment that would rename the bill the Kristi Noem Canine Relief Act of 2025. And I yield back.
Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, you should familiarize yourself with the four corners of this room. Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, get to know that witness chair. You're going to be parked in it for a long time. You're going to have a lot of questions under oath with the subpoena power. And I hope what you're doing is clean and can withstand the scrutiny that everyone on this side of the aisle is going to bring. You think we won't do it. You think you're invincible. You're wrong. Accountability is coming. You've got about a year, and I yield back.
You remember when it first came out that Kristi Noem had shot that dog, and she was like, talked about it so proud, like sometimes you got to make difficult decisions in your life, and sometimes those decisions are shooting a dog versus, I don't know, putting it down with some type of shot. But regardless, at the end of the day, MAGA is just completely hypocritical with absolutely everything, whether it be their stance with migrants, but H-1Bs are still okay because according to Donald Trump, the United States doesn't have talented enough workers to fill in for these manufacturing jobs. So that's still cool. That's all right. You know, America first, except for giving tax breaks to billionaires and corporations and people who don't need them, as that's basically the only thing that Donald Trump accomplished in both of his terms. His second term's effectively over with everything going on, including the Epstein files, and the Democrats just completely slaughtered Republicans in all these special elections. And in the coming midterms, it's almost certain that Donald Trump is just going to turn into a lame duck president. And he absolutely, he just reversed on some of the tariffs. What an admission of defeat. You were the one who said that these weren't going to hike prices, but inflation is still going up. Prices are going up in grocery stores and across the board with absolutely everything. You killed SNAP. Yeah, you opened the government back up, but you still destroyed that before everything. So at the end of the day, MAGA is completely hypocritical. We know this, but it was hilarious that they're trying to push forth this measure when Kristi Noem and her infamous confession about the dog.